as the controversial, have everything in place before opening the microphone this morning. Do pardon me. Well, last week was pretty interesting. We had quite a series of conversations, and guess what? For those of us who listened to the show, I think Wednesday or Thursday, where we talked about the federal government approving 147 loan apps. Well, guess what? There is an update. Of course, we had Godfrey here, a financial expert and commentator, who gave us some insight into the pros and the cons as far as the loan apps are concerned. Well, guess what? I woke up this morning to see the headline: federal government bars loan apps from accessing customers' photos and contact. And I've said, wow, this is just coming on the heels of a conversation we had just last week. Well, just to give you an insight into this latest development, the federal government of Nigeria had in recent times taken major decisions aimed at tackling the violation of customers' privacy by loan apps. Notably, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission and operating in the country. Google, in its April 2023 policy update, said the new policy update would provide respite for loan app users in Nigeria and other places that have become accustomed to crude loan retrieval methods employed by a majority of loan apps. Google said, and I quote, policy preview effective May 31st, 2023. This article previews changes included in our April 2023 policy update. We are updating our personal loans policy to state that apps aiming to provide or facilitate personal loans may not access user contacts or photos. We are introducing additional requirements for personal loan apps targeting users in Pakistan. Personal loan apps in Pakistan must submit country-specific licensing documentation to provide their ability to provide or facilitate personal loans. This new policy is coming after the firm announced updates to its development program policy mandating digital money lenders in Nigeria, India, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Kenya to conform to regulatory rules or be taken down by January 31st. Now, according to the firm, only digital money lenders that have adhered to and completed the limited interim regulatory registration framework and guidelines for digital lending 2022, as may be amended from time to time by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission and obtained a verifiable approval letter from the FCCPC, will be allowed on Play Store in Nigeria. Commenting on the new policy, the Chief Executive Officer of the FCCPC, Babatunde Irokanra, stated that it was a welcome development and shows that Google was institutionalizing its regulatory policy. So, will I say better days ahead as far as loan apps are concerned, and the fact that Nigerians, amongst other people in the world, will now enjoy some level of privacy without having their contacts, photographs, details being infiltrated by this loan apps, aka loan sharks, right? So, good one. And we like the fact that Google is ensuring the sanity and sanctity of individuals across the world, and the FCCPC here is also doing its best to ensure that Nigerians are adequately covered and protected. Well, that's the latest update as far as loan apps is concerned. I just felt it was important that I brought it to your attention, considering that we had that conversation sometime last week. So, today, what are we talking about? Well, just a few days ago, Representative Ganiyu Johnson proposed a bill to stop Nigerian medical doctors from traveling abroad. Now, it's no news. It's not new that we've had a lot of brain drain in the medical profession here in Nigeria. If my memory serves me right, I think it was last year, we saw a mass exodus of our medical practitioners, leaving the country and heading across the ocean to the other side of the world, to Canada, Saudi Arabia, Germany, just to mention a few. So, here we are. And a honorable member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Ganiyu Johnson, is proposing a bill to stop medical doctors from traveling abroad. What do you think of this move, which should be of utmost importance to our medical practitioners, doctors particularly? Greener pasture or saving human lives? This will be our conversation this morning, as we hope to be joined at some point by the Nigerian Medical Association Abia State Chapter Chairman, in the person of Dr. Isaiah Abali. And I understand he's on his way. He should be here anytime from now. So while we wait, we'll take a quick breather, take some commercials, and when we come back, hopefully, Dr. Isaiah Abali will be in the studio and we can have this conversation. Remember, it's Standpoint on Rapid 96.5 FM.
Let's make the end of the Lenten season rapidly joyful for you and yours as we celebrate the resurrection of the Christ this Easter.
I love it.
With Rapid Easter Wishes, you can spread joy rapidly to your family members, friends, colleagues, business associates, church members, and political leaders on Rapid 96.5 FM for just a token.
I wish you the blessings of His resurrection.
To be a Rapid distributor of love and joy this season, all you gotta do is record an Easter goodwill message of not more than 60 seconds and send it on WhatsApp to 070-4922-0965.
onye nke m cherekwa ka m gwa gị o ebe ọwụ na Konak Foundation efurula ntụtụ taa n'ahụ ka dịrịrị ọhaneze mma ha ejikọ n'aka ha na ndị Faith Care USA iwetara ọhaneze nke ndị oyibo na-akpọ Free Medical Outreach agwọmọrịa n'efu ewo anya na-eme gị pinyo pinyo ezo na-akụ gị komkom ị nọ na njikere maka owo agwọm ụmụaka enyemọgwụ nakwa ndị a ga-eme operation n'efu na ndị ọzọ ọnọrọ karịa ibe ya o nke a ga-adị site n'ụbọchị 22 ruo na Sunday ụbọchị 29 nke ọnwa April 2023 na Madonna Hospital Aba Road Umuahia Abia State ọnọrọ karịa ibe ya o echefukwala na ndị niile a ga-eme operation n'efu ga-abịacha na Sunday ụbọchị 22 maka nnwale site n'elekere 10 nke ụtụtụ ruo kweri n'elekere 12 nke ehihie nke awụkwa free of charge o fee ọsị chai ngwa kọtụrụ anyị n'ekwentị na 091-324-44444 ma ọ bụrụ na ị nwere ihe mgbagwoju anya nke ọbụla. Konak Foundation nakwa Faith Care USA ịgbanwe ndụ nakwa mgbasị ike ọhaneze.
Let's talk politics, dynamics, and permutations.
It is a concern that we have for our country, Nigeria. This is beyond partisan politics. It's unfortunate. And these are the kind of people who say they are leaders of this country. What example are they showing as leaders of the country?
Let's keep you abreast with the happenings in the polity.
Nigeria is on drink and on oxygen. And how can we get part of this?
I am an employer of the president. I pay the president's salary. I pay the bills of the family. And he must protect me.
Standpoint. The center of all talks of politics.
Standpoint, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. on Rapid 96.5 FM, Umuahia.
All Nigerian is more Nigerian than any Nigerian. That's right.
Thanks for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, this is Standpoint on Rapid 96.5 FM, the sound of your city. I am Kamian John the Beloved, also known as the Controversial. And this morning, we will be looking at the fallout of the move by the House of Representatives in a bill sponsored by Honorable Ganiyu Johnson proposing to stop Nigerian medical doctors from traveling abroad. What do you think of this move now, which should be the utmost priority for our medical practitioners, particularly our doctors? Should it be greener pastures or saving human lives? I'm still expecting my guest in the person of Dr. Isaiah Abali, the Nigerian Medical Association, Abia State Chapter Chairman, and together we will be looking at this development, hopefully. But just to let you into what has led to this conversation. Well, the House of Representatives commenced the amendment of the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act to stop the migration of Nigerian trained medical practitioners. Now, the amendment, sponsored by Ganiyu Johnson, APC, Lagos State, is proposing that Nigerian trained medical doctors must serve in the country for 5 years before they are given a full practicing license. During the debate on the general principle of the bill on Thursday, Ganiyu Johnson said it was only fair for medical practitioners who enjoy taxpayer subsidies on their training to give back to the society. And just to give you an idea of how it went down on the floor of the House of Representatives, the Green Chambers, take a listen to this.
On medical brain drain, from 24,000 to now, as I speak, we have less than 10,000 doctors in Nigeria. So that is alarming. So I now thought to myself that, okay, let us look at our laws, what is happening. I noticed that, look, the vacuum is that immediately after housemanship, we notice that most doctors, because of greener pastures, there is a capital flight from Nigeria abroad to UK, America, and all that. Now, government has invested so much money in training these medical doctors. So if you realize, if they can now take advantage of our situation, okay, and now open their doors, because just recently in 2020, UK opened healthcare and visa to people. They were all going to UK and US too, and Canada. So what should we do? Should we fold our arms? So now, and I said, okay, maybe to give back to the society, that is to our people, after training you. Yes, we are not saying you cannot go abroad to make your money, but if government has subsidized your tuition, okay, I mean, to the tune of 40 to 150,000, the least we can get from you is that after your housemanship, before you are given full license, before you are given full license, before you are given full license, at least you can give back to the society within a period of 5 years. So after 5 years, you are free to go. At least you've given back to the society.
There you heard Honorable Ganiyu Johnson, who proposing a bill to stop Nigerian medical doctors from traveling abroad. He says, after your housemanship, you should be able to give back after government has subsidized your tuition to the tune of about 150,000. The least you can do as a medical practitioner, particularly as a doctor, is to give 5 years and by then you will get your full license. Well, to discuss this, I have with me in the studio the chairman, Nigerian Medical Association, Abia State, in the person of Dr. Isaiah Abali. Doctor, it's great to have you join me.
Thank you very much.
This morning. How do you react to this bill?
Thank you. I listened to the replay of the bill. I've listened to it over 10 times, and I don't really see the need for passing such a bill. Let me make it clear that the government subsidized the training of medical practitioners. Government also subsidized the training of accountants, lawyers, and engineers, and every other sector of Nigerian economy and system. So why single out doctors? If it has to cut across board, then you say every graduate trained with government money must stay back in Nigeria and give service to the government before doing any other thing. That's number one. Number two, the proposer of the bill doesn't seem to understand how medical practice works. First year after the practice, you do what we call housemanship.
Yes.
After housemanship, or internship as Americans call it, you get your full license. Now, if you are going to block people from getting full license for 5 years, are they going to be housemen for 5 years? Is that what you are trying to say? That means they cannot practice on their own. That means what you are trying to solve cannot hold, because before you have your full license, you have to practice under supervision. That means they must be supervised while practicing if they have to stay 5 years without their license.
Their license.
That's two. Number three, he seemed to forget that, or he seemed to think that it's only the new doctors that travel out of the country. Old doctors, at the level of consultants, they travel too. So are you going to bond everybody? And what of the people that are trained in private universities? What do you do with them? Did government also subsidize their training? People that are trained in foreign countries like Ukraine, St. Catherine in Caribbeans and some other places, and come back to Nigeria to practice, are you going to bond all of them? So to say the least, it's an ill thought out proposal or bill, and therefore it should not stand the test of time. Apart from the fact that the law of Nigeria guarantees freedom of movement, somebody can even decide to leave the system. People have left training in medical school in their 5th year and say they don't want to be doctors again. What are you going to do with such people? So if you are proposing a bill, you have to look in totality of the system before you now propose a bill.
So are you suggesting that Honorable Ganiyu Johnson should have a sit down with medical practitioners rather than try to bar them from leaving the country, but rather they probably have a better understanding of how the system works and come up with a bill that would further enhance the service as far as the medical profession is concerned?
Yes, I don't think he did any consultation, or he did enough, if at all he did any. I don't think he consulted widely before coming up with that bill, because if he had consulted widely, since he's from Lagos, we know the chairman of Nigerian Medical Association, Lagos. We have other associations in Lagos like Medical Guild of Medical Directors, and other National Association of Resident Doctors, and other medical professional associations in Lagos State. So if he has consulted widely, at least those in his locality, that's Lagos State, he would have been able to know that the bill as he is proposing it will not work. What Nigeria needs is a total overhaul of the healthcare system. And let me give you an instance. In Abia State, doctors are owed about 25 months. If you are going to...
Doctor, just hold that thought. We're going to come to it very shortly. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll now go into that thought, doctors in Abia State, and what should be done. Because I'm beginning to worry that very soon we won't have doctors in Abia State, because if the UK would open its portal, and I mean, we saw the mass exodus of medical practitioners last year, I wonder what will happen if Canada does the same thing, or Germany does the same thing, or even Saudi Arabia, that has always been a safe haven for our medical professionals over the years. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
the beauty go last year because Saclos.
My guy, which kind of paint have you used? We go make my house go well.
Na Saclos paint.
Paint we go make my house shine.
Saclos paint.
What about paint we go last for plenty years?
Na still Saclos paint. Saclos paint na ogbonge paint wey don win both national and international award on top paint matters.
Abeg, where dem dey?
Dem dey nationwide. Saclos paint get one ogbonge wey dem call Saclos satin paint. If dirty touch the paint, you fit use water and soap take clean am cha-cha. Saclos paint get other ones like emulsion paint, test coat, gloss, sac flash car paint, matte, industrial marine coating, red oxide primer, aluminium, screening paint, auto varnish, and other barbarous products. For that correct beauty, paint wey you need na Saclos paint. Their price na shipping. For more information, call 070 30 90 4125.
Hi, welcome to another day in the life of a Gen Z still living in Nigeria. As much as I recommend Googling every and anything, because of course there is unlimited information on the internet, I also recommend listening to what I would term the wisdom of the old. Remember when Common said this?
Take the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy.
Yeah. A lot of us Gen Zers are losing sight of the beauty of the wisdom of people older than we are. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a millennial, and he shared a tradition he's been practicing that helps him to completely eliminate all forms of jealousy and envy. And trust me, I don't think I would have found a more relatable analogy, at least not easily, on any corner of the internet. So this is me saying, do not despise the wisdom of the old. Because, I mean, people have been living in this one world, long before you came. So chill. Okay, that's it.
Celebrating your family and friends has become cheap like a cup of tea, easy as ABC, and rapid like it should be. You can send birthday greetings and goodwill messages on Rapid FM for just 1,000 naira. Other events like weddings, child dedication, housewarmings, religious and government functions go for even less, 500 naira. Now, your loved ones have no excuse not to celebrate you rapidly on your day because all they have to do is visit our website at www.rapidfm965.com/request or call 07049 220965.
Let's talk politics, dynamics, and permutations.
It is a concern that we have for our country, Nigeria. This is beyond partisan politics. It's unfortunate. And these are the kind of people who say they are leaders of this country. What example are they showing as leaders of the country?
Let's keep you abreast with the happenings in the polity.
Nigeria is on drink and on oxygen. And how can we get out of this?
I am an employer of the president. I pay the president's salary. I pay the bills of his family. And he must protect me.
Standpoint. The center of all talks of politics.
Standpoint, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. on Rapid 96.5 FM, Umahia.
All Nigerian is more Nigerian than any Nigerian. That's right.
All right, it's still Standpoint, and I still have Dr. Isaiah Abali, the chairman, Nigerian Medical Association, Abia State Chapter, and we are looking at the fallouts of the bill proposed by Honorable Ganiyu Johnson, proposing to stop Nigerian medical doctors from traveling abroad. Before we went on that break, Dr. Abali was trying to give us an insight into the situation with medical practitioners, particularly doctors here in Abia State. So, Dr. Abali, I know for many who are following this development, it's been the tussle or the quagmire in the medical profession across Nigeria has been on for quite some time now. and it's trickling down to the states as we also are witnesses to what is happening here in Abia State. But which should be priority for a doctor? Should it be greener pastures or saving human lives?
Okay, thank you. The question is, do I say it's not straightforward? Because when you say saving lives, even doctors that travel abroad, they also save lives. Except you are talking about saving lives locally, in your own locality. Otherwise, a doctor that traveled to US, Canada, Britain, Saudi, and any other place is also going there to save lives. So the duty of a doctor is to save lives, or at least make life more comfortable for the person to live before death. So in anywhere we find ourselves, we save lives. Now, greener pasture had been there. Even when I was in medical school, doctors travel and come back, and nothing stops them. The only problem now is that government seem to be insensitive to the plight of doctors. The system has degenerated so much that job satisfaction is zero. It's not just about money. When you struggle to learn, struggle to graduate, you also struggle to take care of yourself and your family. So when the facilities are not there for you to work and have that job satisfaction, one of the things that you open up yourself to is to look for where you get those facilities, at least to practice what looks like medicine, not practice what you are struggling to say, okay, I'm doing something. At the end of the day, the result is not there. So saving life is the duty of the doctor, and anywhere we find ourselves, we save lives. So it's not about greener pasture and saving life. Even going for greener pasture, you also save lives.
Yeah, but we see doctors like Doctors Without Borders, doctors who dedicate their lives to saving lives without thinking about their well-being, their comfort. People tend to look at these doctors as saints, and then when you now see doctors who constantly talk about the poor pay package, their entitlements that they are not getting or ought to be getting, it can be conflicting for the average person, because for the average Nigerian or average person, the picture is that this is somebody who truly cares about saving lives, about helping humanity. And so the first thing that comes to his or her mind is to first save lives before thinking of money. But what we've seen in Nigeria, even I think sometime last week, we talked about a situation where even under the current Naira redesign, we've seen a situation where somebody had to go to a hospital and they were demanding money, demanding cash for that matter, and not even talking about the well-being of the patient that was brought into the hospital. So when the average Nigerians see all of this, they wonder, they are conflicted.
Yes, remember that the doctor is first of all a human being. Secondly, the doctor is also a Nigerian who lives in Nigeria. He has to, as a doctor, you live in a house. If it's not your own, you have to pay rent. You have to take your children to school. You have to train them. You have to take care of your parents, especially if they are not still working. And then your siblings who are not financially well-to-do. So when you look at totality of these things, the doctor needs money.
The doctor has needs.
Yes. So because the doctor needs money or has needs, he also have to find a way of getting that money. And what we see, the situation where people, in fact, in our environment, people think that doctors are very rich. So some people don't even want to pay their bills. Even when they are discharged and they are okay, you now give them a bill, they will ask you, what exactly did you do to warrant this kind of bill? So that has informed some people demanding for money before treatment. But that money they demand is usually called deposit. That's not the final bill. It's when you are going that they will now make up the bill and then calculate your real bill and give you whatever you are supposed to top on top of that. So for you to go, even in public hospitals, except few public hospitals that I must commend, that don't take deposit, at least for the first 24 hours of emergency. even public hospitals demand for deposit.
But is that the standard? Is that the what it should be? Because we see what happens in foreign hospitals. They first attend to the patient before they now begin to look for any form of identification which will tell them whether the person has a medical cover or no medical cover, and then they begin to try to reach out to the family of that person to let the family know your person is here undergoing treatment or whatever. Why does it look different on the other side? And here it's constantly, like you mentioned, we must have deposit.
Yes, private. Well, I've not really gone to private hospitals outside, but I know even in public hospitals. I remember when I traveled to UK, it was stamped. My visa said he should not be treated with public funds. Of course, I spent about a month or so, and I didn't go to the hospital. So,
but because you're not a UK citizen,
but it was stamped there, so that should not be treated with public funds. So the implication is, if I have to go to hospital, I have to.
You have to pay.
Yes, I have to plan how to pay, and they may want to know whether I have the ability to pay, except if it's their emergency. If it's not that emergency, maybe they will not treat me. But I didn't go to hospital, so I cannot speak on that. But the experience, they say experience is the best teacher. Some hospitals or some doctors have experienced situation where hundreds of thousands of money was spent treating a patient, and at the end of the day, a doctor in somewhere southwestern Nigeria was almost jailed because he had emergency cesarean section and gave a bill. And when the person couldn't pay, one judge took it upon himself that they should have released that patient and go to court. And they got the doctor arrested. It took the intervention of the National Nigerian Medical Association to get that doctor out. So when such a doctor now sees an emergency, he will either ask you to go or you must pay something, because this patient did not pay a dime and got CS done on her, blood transfusion, everything done. So we have also seen situations where in the course of treating patients, the doctor even got killed. I mean, maybe you are privy to one that happened in Delta State. Up to today, nobody had been arrested. So those are the issues that make one say, okay, if I stand so much risk treating people, at least I have to have something to show at the end of the risks I'm taking. Otherwise, if people cooperate, why won't a doctor treat? After all, what we use in treating most of the time is there in our hospitals. When you come, we buy them and keep up front. Not when you come, we take your money to go and buy. So any doctor can treat and then get paid. There was a time we are discussing with federal government to see, okay, those people that cannot pay after treatment, whether government can be the one that will pay for them. Up till now, I don't know what happened to that discussion. But
what about the NHIS cover that is supposed to cover part of, if not a considerable portion of the medical bills?
Yes, NHIS is a laudable project, but the cover is still small. And even it covers mainly people that work in big organizations and government. But private citizens, most of them don't have NHIS cover. And because of that, they are the people that create all these problems you talk about. Sometimes it's the belief, somebody believes that if you are going to deposit money, like paying up front for treatment, that's the way they see it, that it means you are challenging God. I mean, we have heard all sorts of things. So they are not willing to take insurance. So in that regard, our religious leaders also have a role to play to get people to know that insurance doesn't mean that you must fall sick, because that's the way they look at it. Just like taking life insurance. People think if they take, they will die. So that is just the issue. So because of that, a lot of people, the cover is poor. The cover is quite poor.
Let's look at the doctors more critically. Here in Abia State, what are the challenges for medical doctors in Abia State?
The challenges you've pointed out, general challenges facing doctors in Nigeria, that is lack of good facilities to work in, security,
so are you
infrastructure.
saying Abia State, for instance, I know, starting from Umahia, has a federal medical center.
Yes.
And so are you saying that the Federal Medical Center and other supporting medical centers in Umuahia, the state capital, are not properly equipped to create the conducive working environment for doctors?
The Federal Medical Center, I must commend them. They are trying. Of course, you can't compare them with the state-owned hospitals at the moment. But it's not enough at all. Even the Federal Medical Center is understaffed because quite a number of them have left for Saudi Arabia, UK, US, wherever. Quite a number have left. So Federal Medical Center is also facing problem of this brain drain. Then if you now juxtapose it with that of the state, that is not even paying, because the state owes the doctors under whatever explanations. And I was trying to bring you down to this issue of bonding people for 5 years.
Yes.
And I said, okay, if Abia State government employs a doctor and bonding for 5 years, we have seen for the past how many years, people are owed more than 2 years. So that means for that 5 years, that doctor may be owed more than 2 years.
What is the state's government's excuse for owing doctors? Because, I mean, naturally, doctors should be almost a priority. On doctors, nurses, medical practitioners should be a priority based on most of the promises that governments make, especially ahead of elections, during elections, and going into government proper.
Yes, their excuses have varied, but let me look at the last excuse given by the incumbent governor in his last interview with the Channels television. He said he had paid core civil servants. That means
doctors are not
core civil servants. That's implication. So if doctors are not core civil servants, that means they don't deserve their pay, that they must generate their money. And
have you had the opportunity to interact with His Excellency on that subject, to define why he doesn't see doctors as core civil servants?
Oh, we have seen His Excellency on a number of times, countless times. We have seen him, and he will make promises, and at the end of the day, the promises will come to nothing. So during my employment, I work with the state. The letter read that the condition of service is as of that of Abia State civil service. It never defined me as a non-core civil servant. And besides that, they have accused doctors of diverting patients. They have accused doctors of not coming to work. They have accused doctors of selling drugs in the hospitals and collecting money from patients.
Yeah.
And then they have accused doctors of eating the money they generate from the hospitals, government hospitals. They sum up all these accusations and say they are owing doctors. This one I told you about core and non-core is just by the way. So each time the accusation changes.
But are the state hospitals, are they supposed to be revenue generating agencies?
Nope. No state hospital, even federal hospitals, they are paid directly from Abuja. I mean, the federal government pay all the staff directly through what they call IPs. They pay them directly. We have said, okay, why don't you take up the payment directly from Umuahia? I mean, from the Minister of Finance or whoever is responsible for payment, so that let us work in our various units. No, at least no teaching hospital is supposed to be a revenue generating agent, because they stand on tripod. One is training. They train medical doctors and they train postgraduate medical doctors. 2 is research, and then 3 is medical services. So if you isolate that of research, research, you put money into research.
True.
Before it starts yielding money. So if you don't spend, and that of training too, they say government subsidizes the training of medical doctors. It's same with the state. They pay less than what the private universities pay. That means there is subsidy somewhere, and government has to take up that subsidy. The subsidy should not be taken up by the workers who work for this government. Rather, the government should take up the subsidy by paying. And we have even suggested to them that if you are tired of running a medical school, you pronounce it that we can't run medical school anymore. From so set, don't admit again, so that once this one finishes, we don't employ again. Because what happens in teaching hospital, there are a certain number of consultants. It doesn't matter the number of patients that come. If they say you must have 10 gynecologists, you must have 10 for you to keep on running. 12 or 5 orthopedic surgeons, you must have them. So even if the patients that come can be handled by one orthopedic surgeon, it doesn't matter. You must have 5. For
you must meet those standards.
Yes, for you to retain that accreditation. So maybe government doesn't understand that aspect. We have tried to explain to His Excellency a number of times, and each time he seemed to understand, but I don't know what happens to the understanding we have when we leave.
Could it be that, like he has always said, that Abia State is not like River State or Akwa Ibom State that gets large subvention, that the money that comes in is paltry?
Well, we take a cue from a state like Ebonyi State, which is just our neighbor, stone throw from Abia State.
Yeah.
Abia State gets both better internally generated revenue, government, federal government allocation, and then Abia State also has what we call 13% derivation from oil producing as oil producing area, oil producing state. Ebonyi gets less than half of what Abia gets in a month, and yet Ebonyi is functioning. The Ebonyi had just established a medical school. They handed over the first one to the federal government. They have established a new one. Anambra also gets a little less than Abia State in terms of when you combine both our internally generated revenue and 13% derivation with the federal allocation. Abia is a little ahead of Anambra. Yet, Anambra had been running a teaching hospital called Odumegwu Ojukwu, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University Teaching Hospital, and it's running up to now. So some other states, Enugu State too, doesn't get 13% derivation. But if you go to Esut Park Lane as they call it, you whip for Abia State. Esut Park Lane is even more active or busier than UNTH, which is a federally owned health institution in Enugu State. And yet, they are state institutions. They get paid. Their salary is twice that of ABSUT.
Now, listening to you tends to suggest that maybe this current administration has not placed healthcare as premium on its agenda.
Yes, I think the political will to run the healthcare system is the problem here. There's no political will to run it. Probably, I don't know. The advisors, we have tried to walk through the advisors, and we meet a brick wall. They will tell us governor is the all and all. Well, when we meet governor at the end of the day too, the story remains the same. Where the CMD has to live about almost on daily basis, shortly no more, just to discuss salary. How we here run the hospital? That is the issue.
Okay, let's look forward. There is a new administration in the offering. In a matter of weeks, they will be sworn in. Has the Medical Association, Abia State chapter, had any tete-a-tete with the incoming administration?
Well, we've not had with the governor-elect per se, but for some time now, they say he's out of the state. So that's why we have been trying to see how we can reach him. I believe we have our position.
He has promised that all salaries will be paid. You're hoping that doctors are included?
Yes, he told us during the campaign. We discussed with the frontline candidates, including the governor-elect, and he made that promise. But we still want to meet him because it's not just about salaries. It's about revamping the healthcare system. Yes, not just paying. Even the mode of appointing the CMDs, where somebody just recommends somebody and they appoint. It may not add up why the hospital should work. There has to be proper interview. The CMD will come, intending CMD will come and say what I have on the table, what I'm going to bring to make this hospital work. Before you look at all of them and pick the best, not based on political patronage, you appoint somebody. That's why things don't work. You have to look at each individual, their CV, what they have on table, and before you now say this person is the most qualified to run this hospital.
Okay, Dr. Abali, time really not our friend, but considering our conversation today and the fact that government at all levels are worried about the brain drain, particularly, and then you have an Abia state where doctors haven't been paid in months. There's vacuum in the federal system that may be able to accommodate some of these doctors. What would be your words of advice to medical practitioners in the state?
Well, let me quote the words of the incoming governor. He said, "Weep no more, help is on the way." So I've advised my members, my colleagues, that we should just pipe low a little and wait. In fact, a lot of people are saying, if after 1 year there doesn't seem to be any change, they will leave. So people were waiting for this election. Maybe that's why you saw that jubilation. People were waiting that once governor-elect is announced and he is somebody they think cannot deliver, they will leave immediately. But if they think it's somebody that can deliver,
there's a one year benchmark.
Yes. After 1 year and nothing happens, they will leave. So I'm advising the incoming, because the outgoing is almost gone. So nothing much to advise. The incoming governor should take it upon himself to do the needful. Make sure that the healthcare system works vis-a-vis providing the facilities, the security, and most importantly too, the welfare by paying salaries of doctors and other healthcare workers. I believe with that, a lot of people will want to give in their best. We have a lot of good brains around in Abia State who are willing to sacrifice and who are willing to help, but they need some level of motivation. If a demotivated worker cannot really function very well. So we need some motivation.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Isaiah Bali, the state chairman, Nigerian Medical Association. We really appreciate that you could make our time for us to have this conversation. We will continue to have this conversation and hope that those that matter will listen and do the needful for the betterment of Abians and Nigerians at large.
That's our prayer.
Thank you so much.
Well,
that's it on this Monday's edition of Standpoint. Trust us to be back tomorrow, same time, same station. Don't forget the frequency, 96.5, the sound of your city. Up next is Newslight, right here on Rapid. Do stay with us.
Let's talk politics, dynamics, and permutations.
It is a concern that we have for our country, Nigeria. This